Hi everyone, welcome to the Roast for and Everything. We are on episode 267. We've been away for a couple of weeks. Sorry about that. I'm blaming Nolsey entirely for it.
That's fair.
We actually did record like an hour of content 2 weeks ago, and then Nolsey, you just like disappeared, and then
I should
so
stop getting into street fights. I think that's my problem.
okay, well, anyway, we are back. We're still only just covering a week or so of Aussie politics. And no surprise that we're opening up with a discussion on this new war that we find ourselves in the Middle East, launching missiles at Iran, and Iran then launching its missiles at a whole bunch of Gulf countries that are friendly to the United States,
Yeah.
basically trying to encourage their Arab allies to beg America to stop, because the longer this goes on, well, the more rockets Iran will fire at places like the UAE and Qatar, etc. It's been kind of freaky actually seeing footage from Dubai, which is usually this
Gosh,
just
yes. This paradise of excess.
yeah, and all the hustle and bustle of and the liveliness of Dubai, like if you look at it now, it is just like a ghost city. There's just nothing going on. You can't even see cars driving. It's amazing to watch, and I've been there as well. I know what it's like, and it's
Yeah.
just so freaky to see that. Doha is similar as well. Anyway, we do Aussie politics on this show, so we're going to talk about how Australia is and isn't involved in this conflict. So,
Wake up! Wake up,
look,
Australia!
our government, Albanese, Penny Wong, of course, who's the foreign minister, have been asked very directly if they believe this is all legal. Is it actually by international law standards? Is this lawful? Some are even arguing that it's not lawful in the American context because, well, they didn't get a congressional declaration of war.
I don't really fucking care because I know a widow whose husband was killed in the quote unquote lawful, unlawful, literally fucking Mossad killed context. So I don't care.
Well, neither does
Sorry,
America. I mean, how many other wars or bombing campaigns have they entered into with no congressional approval? There's too many to count. So it's not a surprise that this happened.
no,
But
not at all.
but it is funny, this fine line that Labor is trying to straddle right now, where they're saying, "Oh, look, we do support it." Um, it's funny how that just happens. Like as soon as the conflict occurs, it's like, "Oh yeah, America did something. We have to support it." We're not going to actually comment on whether or not it's legal, and we're going to also tell everyone that none of our troops are involved in this. Well, we don't know about that. Um,
Again, isn't there two dead now?
is it what?
Isn't there two
Two
dead now?
of Australian ADF?
Yes,
I'm not sure.
Mariners. Two dead Australian
Oh, okay.
Mariners, yes.
Well, we were told that there were two ADF personnel on board an American submarine that was firing torpedoes at Iranian targets. Uh, However, we were told that they did not play any role in that operation at all. They were simply just there. Um, I don't know, playing Xbox or something when it happened. It's kind of hard to believe that they would be serving no purpose there. And, ADF soldiers are rotated very regularly through um, various contexts of the American military, including submarines. So we keep getting told that, okay, yeah, look, we support this. We're not going to say if we think it's legal, and we're not going to play a direct role, as in we're not going to set any troops out there. But there might be more indirect ways. So, yeah, look, we've got a new ambassador from Israel. So Israel's ambassador to Australia, Hillel Newman.
Oh, Jesus. Actually, don't say that in front of him.
No. Well, look, the United Nations has said that these strikes by America and Israel on Iran are unlawful because they breach international law. And also, like during the Iraq War, that was where they said, no, this idea of preemptive strike is not a reason to go to war. What was it that was saying that Iran was 2 weeks away from building a nuclear bomb or something like that? So they had to go in because otherwise, as soon as they created it, they would have to launch it at Tel Aviv, which is garbage.
Yes, they machine gunned a nuclear energy scientist because of that. About
they've been doing that for
4 years ago.
Yeah. Iran has actually caught a couple of those Mossad agents who are trying to knock off nuclear scientists. And they execute them, of course.
Yes, of course.
But, so Hillel Newman, the new ambassador, says, no, this is legal because of the fact that Iran has been exporting terror for the past few decades. And it's all just about Israeli self-defense.
Oh, wow.
Now,
terrible.
He was also saying that he basically doesn't believe that the US or Israel hit the girls' school in Iran that killed, I can't remember. What?
No, I was going to say, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can be pretty sure that did happen. And why would that be a surprise? I mean, when you've hit every single hospital in Gaza, every single refugee camp in Gaza, this is something Israel would do.
At Iran, by the way, this is confirmed by the UN that they literally targeted firefighter stations. Fire stations. I'm not even joking.
Well, it makes sense. You're causing lots of big explosions. You don't want the fires to be put out. So, from a strategic point of view, and that's really playing dirty, not following the so-called rules of engagement. Now, look, those Gulf countries that I mentioned that are being hit by missiles from Iran, so Oman, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, they are now asking for military assistance from Australia. So this is one of the indirect ways Australia can get involved in this conflict. It's to help protect them against drone and missile attacks from Iran. This is what Penny Wong is saying.
It's our comms. It's the fact that we're one of the five fingers of the Five Eyes satellite system. It's not because they want our boots on the ground or etc. Because that would be fucking useless. It's because they want the rest of the intelligence.
The rest of the intelligence?
Yes.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
The rest of the satellite communication system.
Oh. Okay, now, very different kind of coverage coming from the ABC versus the Australian. If you look in the Australian, as you can imagine, they are supporting this war quite strongly. And they've really tipped their hat to one particular Labor senator, who has referred to the regime as the brutal Iranian machine.
Iranian machine?
Yeah, and that supporting this this action would be a moment of moral clarity for the Australian Parliament. So he also pointed the finger at the ABC and the Greens, accusing them of naked hypocrisy. So, talking about October 7 and stuff like that, saying,
Yes.
you'll ignore stuff like that, but then you go crazy when we fire rockets at Iran and kill, thousands of people? God knows how big the body count is at the moment. I mean, remember, we're not just going after Tehran, we're going after multiple cities in Iran, and Iran has a population of 90 million people. That's a shit ton of people. That's more than Germany has, for example. It's a huge country.
That is true. I don't know if I ever showed you the videos that I've done with the videography that I did with the wedding, Uranian wedding video that I did, but maybe sometime I can show you.
Okay.
But no, it's trust me, it's not nice.
All right. Well, look. Oh, sorry. This guy is called Raf Chicone. I'm not sure. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Sounds Italian. So
terrible.
He's been on the Parliamentary Intelligence Committee, and well, look. Here's what he said about Labor's stance on this. He said, "Some have branded the Prime Minister's words as political propaganda. That is an extraordinary claim. If standing with women beaten in the streets is propaganda, if opposing the execution of protesters is propaganda, if resisting nuclear blackmail is propaganda, then we have lost our moral compass. What is truly political is neutrality in the face of evil."
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Now, you might have missed it, but the Prime Minister of Canada did a short little tour here.
Why?
So he referred. I don't know if there was much point. So anyway, Mark Carney, that's his name. Remember, we don't have Trudeau anymore. He's off dating Katy Perry.
Jesus, what the fuck is this creature then? Yeah, I knew about the fucking the dating. Also, I'm still skeptical about who the fuck his fucking father is when it comes to Trudeau, because I don't think it's fucking Pierre Trudeau.
Quite possibly. Anyway, Mark Carney called Australia and Canada strategic cousins. And again, they support the current action in the Middle East. And when he was at a joint press conference with Anthony Albanese, they both refused to call for a ceasefire. So yeah, they're saying bomb Iran even more.
Hey, well, I'll put it this way: don't be in a joint military operation because you might just get torpedoed.
Right. Now, a Greens candidate, this is another one the Australian love. He's being criticised for a string of social media posts that are, quite expletive laden. So he said, the guy's name, Omar Sakir. He is a Lebanese Turkish Muslim activist. Wow. That's
what the fuck?
That sounds like a real hybrid Frankenstein monster. I don't want to be around. Anyway, he said
we can't. We can't delve into that. But Jesus.
All right. So he said, "Fucking evil cunts. Fuck this murderous fascist empire forever. Fuck the inevitably stupid and servile shit our government will say. to not piss off the genocidal US that is run by a pedophile rapist. Fuck the whole rotten status quo. Yeah, look, you might be right about the pedophile rapist thing. Quite possibly. I don't put it past Trump.
I don't want to agree with him at all. But we're not an apple. We're not a fish. The rot starts with you, buddy.
The United States is also not a fascist empire, by the way. It's a neoliberal empire.
Actually, we might be a fish because it does start to rot down from its head.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So yeah, look, the government was initially not saying whether or not there was any Australian personnel on the US submarine. So this was one that sank a Iranian warship. Now, eventually, Albo had to go and confirm this, I guess probably because it was going to leak eventually. But he said that this was the Iris Dina. This was a huge Iranian warship. And they apparently sat out the operation.
Yes, they did. And also, we did the same operation with them, by the way. Like, there was an Australian warship with them doing this operation. So, like, literally at the start of a naval operation, you have to confirm that, like, we don't have arms. Like independent check, we don't have arms, so we can do an operation with each other. And the fucking can I be like mean?
Of course.
All right. So that fucking US Unterboot, the submarine, the US submarine on the other side of fucking like Sri Lanka, literally waited for them to berth the other side of Sri Lanka to fucking hit them, knowing that they're unarmed.
Well, that's what happens. I mean, look, haven't the US actually said that they're like not bothering with rules of engagement in this war? They're coming out just saying, we're from the Department of War, because remember, that's what it's called now in America. And we don't worry about things like rules of engagement or killing people who are only following orders. They might as well just say, look, we don't care about killing civilians either, because, I mean, that's what they're doing. Certainly, like, none of the rockets are being fired from Tehran. That's obviously ridiculous. And there's around 9 million people in Tehran. And if you like include the metropolitan area, it goes up to like 14 million or something. It's massive. So, yeah, I mean, every time they drop a bomb, fire a rocket, whatever, they are killing a shit ton of people. On the other hand, there has been footage from East Jerusalem of Jews filming rockets landing. And, yeah, I mean, they're actually getting some targets. I think, the ones fired at Tel Aviv, we've been told that they've been protected by the Iron Dome, and that basically all of those
Satan attacking you?
Intercepted. What?
I was going to say, like, is Satan attacking you?
No. Not at this moment.
Not yet.
No, well, actually, earlier when I was doing the prep, she jumped up on top of the computer and she reset it right while I was doing prep. So, yeah, that made me extremely mad.
Just for the audience, Satan is a black cat. Well, like, I don't think Satan is their actual name, but like, that's the name that I gave to a black cat who used to attack me back when we'd have to actually go to the studio to record the racer.
Yeah, well, yeah, it took you a while to get a microphone, I think. Or it took you a while to
Yes,
get a
it did.
decent microphone.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
Anyway, so all right, so getting people out of the Middle East and back to Australia, because there are a shitload of expats in Dubai, or at least there was. And Dubai airport was actually hit by a drone attack from Iran. So obviously, Dubai airport was closed. Um, they say it's still closed. By the way, I was just googling this now, and they're saying that soon they do plan to resume all flights. Um, so there has been limited flights that have gotten Australians back in. They've been reporting though that when they go on these planes, there's actually a lot of empty seats there. So they're not really planning the logistics of this very well. I mean, it's not because there's a
It's
shortage of
evacuation, to be
people.
honest.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're evacuating like everyone who's there shouldn't be any such thing as an empty seat on the plane. You know, they should all be to capacity, basically. So if they're noticing that, that is, obviously some kind of fuck up. And well, last thing we'll say about this is that this is obviously going to have an impact on global oil prices and therefore the price of petrol at the pump, all this kind of stuff. There's reports of people already hoarding, like
Yeah.
bringing fucking jerry cans and that to the pump with them.
What the fuck?
So I'm gonna. I mean, it's cheap ass Tuesday tomorrow. Be interested to see. I reckon people are going to be. I'm going to be in that line forever because people are going to be filling up jerry cans. But no, it could go up a fair bit. And remember, this is a weapon that Iran is more than willing to use. They basically control the Strait of Hormuz, which is where a very critical trading route.
It's now open again. But
it's open again, is it?
Yes. I was gonna say also you fucking terrible petrol heads. Me, the enlightened, diesel head.
Well, yeah, I take my car as petrol as well.
Yes.
Yeah, well, look, man, I don't know anything about cars, right? I'm not a rev head at all. I know how to change the oil and put air in my tires, and that's about it. So I do think, though, that, yeah, a lot of the people who chose diesel years ago saying that, this will be the cheaper option, well, I guess you were right in the end.
Thank you.
But I am not a guy who had much clout or any clout riding on that.
Anyway.
So what do you reckon? How
white spirits and cooking oil.
What about petrol? How much do you think petrol is going to go up?
Now that the Strait of Hormuz is open, possibly about 60+%. But
really,
it's not going to be. It's not going to be like. What's the English word for it?
I don't know.
Stagnant. It's not gonna stay.
Oh yeah, I really hope so. And I mean, I really hope there is not shortages because of hoarding, like what happened with the bloody toilet paper. No, go and fill your tank up, but that's it. Don't fucking take cans of petrol home with you. For fuck's sake.
You're hurting Finian.
I'm just saying that for the sake of everyone. We don't want shortages.
Now, frying oil, on the other hand.
All right, so let's move on to extremism and hate speech.
Oh shit!
We're going to start in Queensland Parliament. So
Oh yeah.
there were 11th hour changes to their legislation, where they're just upgrading it, where they're adding a few slogans in. They've already banned the symbols and a lot of the Nazi stuff, Roman salutes, things like that. But they hadn't focused properly on the Palestinian protesters. So the night before they went to vote on this bill, they said that it originally left scope for the Attorney General to ban any expression that incited violence, harm, or offence. So, in other words, the Attorney General could just, on the fly, ban a certain slogan. That is incredibly Orwellian. So they did actually scrap that. Not that what they've done isn't Orwellian, though. So really, this law was just about banning two specific phrases, which I think we all know: from the river to the sea and globalize the Intifada. That is now illegal in Queensland. You can actually face a maximum penalty of 2 years in prison if you were to say that, or if you were to hold up a placard with one of those slogans. You could actually go to jail for 2 years. And yes, I do think that is a real possibility for the people who say, oh, they'll never put people in jail for it. Well, what about the guy who said the Jews were our enemy in Sydney?
What about fucking Joel Davis?
And yes, what about Joel Davis? They will throw people in jail for this stuff. You better believe it, because they already have.
Yep. Okay. Also, the father of one, also now the father who doesn't actually get to see his own fucking child, but also, yes, the 31-year-old child father, father one, who literally said, like, oh yes, the Jews are the enemy, is in jail for this.
Well, isn't it like it is sort of ironic in that, like, the Jews prove themselves right. I mean, when he goes out there and says, Jews control everything, and they put their opposition in jail. Well, okay, what do they do to him?
Put him in jail.
So
but that's different. Hey, that's different. This was hates. Finian, that's because of hate. Oh, he's hate. There's a whole bunch of hate there, isn't there?
Don't tell people that we control everything, or we'll put you in jail. All right. Oh God. So we are getting a formal parliamentary inquiry now into the bomb that didn't go off. So this was the Invasion Day rally where that guy, threw the thing in that had ball bearings in it.
We can actually say it, Liam Hall.
Yeah, so they've lifted the suppression order on his identity. Did you hear Satan just come in then?
Yes. Oh, there we go. There she is.
She's there. She's currently on top of my computer. If she resets it again, I'm going to fucking kill her. Okay, she's just lying down on it now.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so look, this is going to be a parliamentary inquiry into racism, hate, and violence directed at Indigenous people. Well, look, I have to say it again. Those people at the Invasion Day rally are almost all white, okay? There's a couple of regular activists there who are like half-castes or quadroons, but the vast majority of them are white, and there's even a shitload of trannies there.
Can confirm. Yeah. I was there.
Okay, now
I'm not trying though.
A lot of people are trying to make this go further. They want like a federal inquiry into all of this.
Is that Satan?
Hmm?
The pop, was that Satan?
No, I don't think so. So, look, we do have a federal inquiry into the nature, prevalence, and impact of racism, hate, and violence towards First Nations people. So, but now we have to have a state one as well because this guy, threw this item. And it's going to look at the role that social media plays. But look,
It's
you're
terrible.
definitely not going to find it on Facebook. Facebook was banning edgy political stuff before it was cool, like before Charlottesville and the great purges on YouTube. Uh, Facebook are the OGs on that. Um, you know, Twitter is basically the same as what it was, even though Elon took it over and apparently made it a safe haven for extremists. No, ever since I got back on there, it's basically just been as boring as it was before. I much prefer like going through Telegram or Post. So I'd say that they will target those platforms, though. They're going to go on about how we hide in the dark corners of the internet, and we use the less popular apps and websites to spread our message. And
Because they've made
that's
us
true.
digital. Yeah, they've made us digital nomads. That's the reason.
Yeah, and it means that like all of us are pretty tech savvy when it comes to OPSEC and things like that. And we know the laws as well. We know what we can and can't say and can and can't do. And I think they're furious about that. They're like, these people aren't breaking the laws, so they're not falling into the traps that we've set for them. So we've got to go further.
I was gonna
Now,
say like even with the fucking like the good guys domestic even when they actually met the grounds to make a political party and etc. They're like, oh, you know what, no, you can't do that. You just can't do that.
so look, if you don't know about it, guys, there is a Give Send Go that was started by Thomas Sewell. He's planning to challenge these and other laws in the High Court because it is a constitutional issue. The High Court has ruled that the Australian Constitution does guarantee political communication. And when you go and shut down political groups or even stop them from communicating online, well, you're denying them political communication. So they've actually raised $156,406. I'm looking at it right now. The goal is 175K. So we're not quite there yet, guys. So consider getting on and supporting that. Now, look, in terms of proscribed groups, that is the officially designated hate groups, we just have one on the list. So that's Hizbut-Tahrir. So our delightful Immigration Minister, Tony Burke, has just proscribed that group. He is not proscribing the NSN or White Australia or anything like that, simply because they don't exist anymore. And Tony Burke likes taking credit for that. He's like, see, like I made them go away. No, you've taken away our, let's say, like right to like formally organize. But there's no way. You haven't stopped the cause. There's no way you've done that.
You haven't taken away the men. You haven't taken away the heart.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So anyway, if you are a member of, recruit for, provide training or funds to, or provide material support to Hizbut-Tahrir, you will now be breaking the law. And the maximum penalty for that is 15 years in prison.
There we go.
So those are the exact same conditions that they were going to put on the NSN. They'd want to lock you up for 15 years, if you remember. Okay.
Next story.
Yeah, no, I was just reading it. So, if you don't know, our multicultural affairs minister, Anne Ali, one of the first Muslim MPs, I believe the first was Ed Husic, who we will also discuss.
Yes.
She's saying that we can't give up on those people who are at risk of being radicalized. Now, you might not be aware that she's actually an academic herself. And before she got into politics, she lectured on the topic of radicalization. Now, she's a Muslim, so, you would expect that she looked at Islamic extremism. But she always goes on about how, it's not actually about Islam itself or anything. It's about disenfranchised youth, usually men, who are angry at society for a vast range of reasons. And, we basically have to look out for those people and, I don't know, put them on the right path away from radicalization.
And that's my problem. Why?
Well, you know what? Like, to an extent, I do agree with her in that, like, you have people who have an identity crisis in Australia. And the reason why they do is simply because they're not Australian. They know they don't fit in. They know that the white culture is the dominant culture, even though, that might be on borrowed time. So they feel alienated. I don't doubt that at all. That's why you shouldn't have a multicultural society, because minorities in multicultural societies usually feel alienated. Jews feel empowered. They're the one exception to that. But most other people don't like the fact that, their culture, people who look like them aren't represented in most institutions in the country they live. So, in that respect, I think she's right. But when she says we shouldn't give up on them,
Yes.
no, you send them back to where they came from. All right? If you want to say that's giving up on them, fine. Anyway. So the Adelaide Writers' Festival, this keeps coming back into the news.
Oh, yes.
So they, as most people know, like the original group, like pulled the pin when they kicked out.
Not pull the pin, but yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, figuratively speaking, of course. Over that academic who had said that, who likened Zionism to white supremacy. That's what she said. Anyway, Adelaide University put up their hand to host the Writers' Festival, but now they've reneged on that. So this was after a lot of pressure from protest groups, from lobby groups. In other words, the Jews. Okay.
I was going to say,
I'm not sure if they have many in Adelaide.
Putting white nationalism and Zionism and like anti-Zionism into one thing. I thought that would be like being a rhinoceros.
Look, she's a pretty standard, like, anti-Zionist Muslim lefty. And they say stuff like that all the time, like, Israel is an apartheid state. They've got a fascist Nazi government. Zionism is just like white supremacy, all that crap. I mean, it's bullshit, but if she wants to go out and say it, then I don't have a problem with that. And it's still a critique of Israel where, even though I may not agree with the labels, with the categories that she's using, I probably agree with her with much more of it, though. Like, it's pretty hard to disagree with someone that you shouldn't destroy a region's infrastructure almost entirely and bomb all their refugee camps and all their schools and all their hospitals. I can agree with her on that.
Of course.
Shitload of other things we disagree on, but we can definitely find common ground there.
The ground is like how you should say that.
Okay.
All right.
Randa Abdel Fattah. I'm sorry. That's
Jesus.
the academic who they were supposed to be hosting. I don't think you can blame me for forgetting her name. I mean, it's not like her name, like Emma or something. Randa Abdel Fattah.
Katia.
Okay, now we talked about the Northern Territory Administrator, which is the equivalent of a state governor. He was the guy who had some controversial social media posts, like where he called Albanese an arsehole. And also the very, very offensive one where he basically suggested that the women in the women's volleyball team for Australia are hot. And then, he posted a photo of them with wedgies, basically. And that was just, oh, no. So, look, he said that he hoped his office could help change blokey, clumsy comments in society. So he's cucked completely.
I'll double down.
Over, what were the most, milquetoast, tame tweets and Facebook posts, I believe it was. Oh, and he also said he realized that they are a trigger for some people.
Let's say don't like beach volleyball. Australia is fucking destroying it.
We've got a good team, do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course we do.
Not a sports ball guy. I have to be told these things. I don't follow them at all. Okay, now, here is a story that really was making it big in our circles. The British Australian community, perhaps you follow their account on Telegram.
Yes.
So they had a sold-out conference at Queensland Parliament. Now, apparently they didn't really know the nature of this group. Simply going by the name, the British Australian community, that's fairly innocuous. But this is where you had speeches where they said Australia must maintain its Anglo-Celtic identity. So, and the real unfortunate thing about this was that this was actually reported by The Australian, and also the Monarchist League, I think is what they're called.
The nativists as well.
They had their own flags and flyers there. Yeah, the Australian Monarchist League. They had banners displaying there, and they have since apologised for that and said that they don't want to be in any way compared or lumped in the same category as the British Australian community. Now, it was popular, obviously. $79 tickets, and the whole venue was sold out.
It's the coolest shit.
So here's what the Australian said. It said the four speakers voiced their support for the abolished White Australia policy and expressed concerns about the loss of Western inheritance due to ethnic migration. Described as the only political action conference proudly advancing the rights and interests of Anglo-Celtic and European Australians, the group declares Anglo-Celtic people should remain in control of the Commonwealth with a supermajority of 90% plus of the population descending from the founding ethnic groups. Yeah, that sounds a little tough to me, like 90%. I'd like it to be a bit higher than that, but it's pretty good.
We shall see.
I really don't like how some other groups are using the term Anglo-Celtic now as if it's just a cultural phenomenon instead of a racial category. I gave the example of Tony Abbott a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
He said we have to keep Australia Anglo-Celtic, but then unfortunately he said and Judeo-Christian.
Yes.
So, but look, it's different. For the British Australian community, no, they are an explicitly racial group who advocate for white identity politics. So when they use the term Anglo-Celtic, they do actually mean it. They're not talking about some vague cultural notion of the term. They're actually talking about, yes, Anglo-Celtic people. We are the ones who should make up the ethnic mix in this country. Okay, now finally on extremism and that. So the guy who sent Instagram messages to Chris Minns and to Anthony Albanese, he just said that this was an error in judgment. Oh no, sorry, that was his lawyer said it was an error in judgment, and that he never actually meant it as a serious threat, and certainly never carried out any plans to kill either of those men. Now, I'd say that's probably true. A lot of people can get too trigger happy when they're, just doing keyboard warrior stuff. So, and is a 19-year-old guy from Mandurah, does he really have the capacity to do something like that? I somehow doubt it. But the point I made at the time, though, was that this guy was released on bail. Now, why is Joel Davis still in jail? And apparently he's not getting another bail hearing until mid-April. So he's got at least another month there. And he never threatened to kill anyone. This guy did. And he was granted bail. It doesn't make any sense. The notice has also been documenting immigrants who have been charged with the most horrific sexual offences who have also been granted bail. What about the African who stabbed the grandmother to death in Queensland? He was out on bail as well. All right. Anti-Semitism. So I mentioned our new ambassador, Hillel Newman. He says he wants to upgrade bilateral ties to include regular strategic dialogue between senior ministers, declaring the two countries need to move on from their challenging relationship of recent years. So look, he thanked the Albanese government for supporting the current military operations. And he said that the conflict would transform the Middle East, laying the foundations for an expanded Abraham Accords partnership between Israel and the Gulf states. Oh, God. So he said that just before he took on this new role, that he was warned by Israeli officials that this would be extremely challenging because of how strained Australian relations have become with Israel. So he's just saying, "Oh well, look, it is." He said, "I'm trying to come here. I'm trying to come here and make a change." He said. So he's apparently up for the challenge. Now, when he says that,
I can't say anything. Actually, I can't say anything.
But when he says strategic dialogue between senior ministers, I mean, that I think just involves Israel saying, "Hey, we've got new intelligence." Iran was the one who lit this synagogue on fire.
Hey, we're going to threaten one of your new ministers right now. We're going to pull that card and threaten.
I mean, Israel very often say that they save lives around the world because they collect intelligence that other agencies fail to collect. And they reckon that, they notify countries of impending
fucking make it.
And yeah, I mean,
I know that I fucking pulled the fucking the punchline there, but yes, they fucking make it. Those are the nasty. Yes, those are the nastiest fuckers in the entire world.
Yes, I mean, Victoria Police and the AFP were throwing their hands up over the Adas synagogue bombing. We went months and months where they said they didn't even have a suspect. And then all of a sudden, we got a tip off from Israeli intelligence that it was Iran who set it all up. How convenient.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, thank you. We had no idea.
Me. Just fucking kill me. It'd be easier.
So we're going to talk about Islamophobia now. That word has sort of made its way back. So Pauline Hanson was officially censured in the Senate for her "no good Muslims" remark. What she actually meant when she said that, she was saying, she just worded it badly. She was meant to say, how do you know which Muslim is a good Muslim? She was just saying that, you have to take on a blanket approach when it comes to categories of migration. So, for example, you say ban all Muslims because Muslims are more likely to, blow shit up. Yep. And she was making the point to say, look, how do you know which ones of the Muslims you let in are the ones that are peaceful? That was really what she was saying.
Don't be it's a great,
I mean, it is a good argument. It's basically refuting the Naxalt argument where they say, not everyone in this ethnic group is like that. And she was saying, okay, but how can you tell which ones? How can you do that? You can't. So that's why you need to take a broad blanket approach to migration and say, no, this entire group cannot come here. Now, I wish she would be more consistent with that and apply it on racial lines. Maybe the Pauline Hanson of 1998 would have done that. But, as we know, they've been drifting further and further to the more populist right position.
And India.
And Indian, and they're just top to bottom controlled now. So it doesn't matter. But there were 2 Liberal senators who crossed the floor. So you see, the coalition, the Liberals and the Nats, actually voted against this. But you did have 2 moderate Liberal senators who crossed the floor and voted with Labor and the Greens.
Wow.
Okay, now, Ed Husick, who I mentioned before, the Australian love to say he's just bitter because, he was sent to the backbench. He's saying that the Australian government is failing to deliver protection for Australian Muslims. He didn't say this, but I'm sure he probably thinks that, Jews are taking the spotlight on this completely. And he's saying, hey, what about us? And he said that the Royal Commission into anti-Semitism and the Bondi terror attack should also look at Islamophobia. This is similar to other calls to have Aboriginal racism included in the inquiry. And the Jews are extremely mad about this stuff because, they want the inquiry to be all about them. Can't be about anyone else because they are unique victims. And that's basically why they want this inquiry anyway, or this Royal Commission anyway. It's not because the Royal Commission would successfully reduce anti-Semitism. No, it's just the Jews showing everyone that they can get the government to do what they want. That's what it is. They're asserting control, and the government is allowing them to do that. Albo actually cucked pretty quickly on the whole Royal Commission. And, he made some good points. He's like, look, more people were killed in the Port Arthur massacre, but there was no Royal Commission into that. And no one wanted one either. So what the fuck is the point in this? This was just a criminal matter. And I guess, you could say it's an act of terror as well. But we already have agencies who investigate those kind of crimes. You don't need a Royal Commission. And I guarantee you when the commission winds up, the recommendations that it gives are really not going to do anything. For one thing, they would have passed all those laws by then anyway. I mean, we just went through the Queensland laws before. because they would just say, well, we need to crack down further on hate speech or extremist groups or whatever. But could they really go further than what they have? You know, prescribing different groups, outlawing raising your arm on an angle, outlawing chants and slogans. We're already getting all of that.
You'd be surprised, I guess.
God. So there's this guy within Labor called Julian Hill. He's on the front bench, but he's like actually pretty low profile. I think he's got like some outer ministry portfolio. But anyway, he says that the Labor Party is not adequately recognizing the danger of radical Islamic ideology in Australia. And also the unacceptable cultural practices that some migrants bring here. So this guy's
party of the
he wants to bring Islamophobia to the Labor Party. That's kind of the gist of what they're saying here. Look, also, I mean, this was good. He said that Labor Party should more explicitly support Australia Day and the flag. Well, you see, the Labor Party have been refusing to up the penalties for burning the flag. Well, I mean, it's actually just legal. I'm pretty sure at the Commonwealth level you are allowed to do it. Some states outlaw it, but we might remember the last Australia Day. I believe it was in Queensland. They, like some Aboriginal group, burned the flag in public, and they didn't get anything for that. Even though you're not allowed to start a fire in public. I forget what that offence is called, but still you're not allowed to do that. but nothing happened to them. Anyway, Jim Chalmers said, well, look, I'm a big supporter of Australia Day and the flag. We don't have any plans to change Australia Day or the flag. Now, look, while that is true, at least on paper, Labor do legitimise the Invasion Day stuff, though, because they always talk about Aborigines on Australia Day.
I mean,
and there's certainly people within the Labor Party who want to change the date. Of course there are.
It's also it's not. It's also it's not January the 22nd. It's January the 27th, or it's the 25th. Depending on what state you're in, there's the the terrible whataboutism.
Oh, and we're going to get more than that.
Oh,
Indians are really asserting their right to cultural representation in Australia, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, here is a rare good story.
It's only going to smell worse.
Yeah, of course. So you might remember that the Albanese government had plans to reform our freedom of information laws. Essentially, they wanted to make it harder to get documents from the government. So under those changes, you would have increased costs for requesting certain government documents and reduced duties imposed on public servants to produce information. So, yeah, they wanted to make it harder. And, this is something that journalists absolutely hate because they rely so much on government sources for their stories. So, if you make it increasingly difficult for them to access those documents, well, the Australian public becomes less informed.
Breaking the law can be an option, but
you could do that. I mean, if you get hold of a government document illegally and then you leak it, that document is then a free-for-all. You may have broken the law yourself, but that won't stop other people from circulating it. That is not illegal. That's basically what WikiLeaks does. It relies on other people to break the law to get documents, and then they legally circulate them. That's basically how they work. Anyway, the bill has been discharged. So Katie Gallagher from the she's manager of government business in the Senate. She said, "We understand that it does not have the support of the Senate and it would not pass the Senate in its current form." So, some good news there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the economy. And here's another reason why Andrew Hastie is not. What's the freaking noise you're making?
Is there a noise?
Yeah, sounds like you. Oh, don't worry about it. Anyway, Andrew Hastie, he has, sort of been called a protectionist, or more of a Trumpian when it comes to economic policy, particularly on trade. You remember that video that he did on
with the Fords?
He wants to bring car manufacturing back to Australian shores, and he was basically he seemed to be suggesting that you can't go by the modern day neoliberal laws of the market if you want to have a thriving industry within your own country. So basically, a lot of people thought, okay, well, he's talking about protectionism. He's talking about subsidies for manufacturers, and he's talking about tariffs for the import of cars. Well, he's out there saying, no, that's actually not what I meant. He said that he is a supporter of free markets. And it was his critics who link him to populists like Donald Trump and Nigel Farage. Now, you see, they're trying to say that this was the fundamental difference between him and Angus Taylor, who were, of course, the ones in the running to take the leadership. Angus Taylor is very much the free marketeer, whereas Andrew Hastie was supposed to be the protectionist. Well, he's come out and said, no, I'm not a protectionist at all. I'm actually right on board with all the free market stuff. And I believe that through the free market, you can restore Australia's car industry.
Fucking Jesus.
Now, look, I know critics are going to say, well, look, he has to toe the party line now because, turned out
he's dead.
He didn't have the numbers to become leader. And he wasn't quite as popular as what a lot of the right-wing shock jocks were suggesting he was. But yeah, he said markets are always superior to centralized control by government. And he was not seeking to bring back car manufacturing.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
Yes. So, why did you do a video on it then, Andrew? Why the fuck did you do a video?
Why the fuck did you pose next to a fucking car? This was made in Australia. This was made in Western Australia back in the day. Are you fucking serious?
Yep, and he's just given up on that. So yeah. Just a quick reality check for those Andrew Hastie supporters. Not that Drew Pavlu listens to us.
Yes.
Okay,
also, so Andrew Hastie should fucking throw a Roman, get arrested, and fucking go to jail and be a decent fucking right-wing politician.
Yes, that's the way he would do it if he was. Look, I just had two stories here on charities. Charities are becoming increasingly under strain because, well, more and more people are looking for assistance. So the one I was just reading about here was in southeast Perth. They provide food and financial assistance. They're now looking to the government because they used to get federal funding and now they don't anymore, even though the amount of people who are coming to see them looking for assistance is growing all the time. Now, similarly in Victoria, you've got Victoria's neighbourhood houses. Similar kind of thing. they're really, really struggling because they've got more people coming to them than ever. And, you know, these are the real measures of the economy, I think, you know, not fucking GDP. You need to ask yourself, you know, like, how many people can't afford the bills? How many homeless people do you have? How many people do you have accessing charities?
I did actually.
That says a lot more about the economy than GDP does.
I asked one of the local like MPs. I was like, "Hey, look, go off this like fucking like short turn onto the highway. Count exactly how many families you see there, and come back to me and give me a decent answer."
Yeah.
Mine is 7 fucking teen. Now, down from 2020, you know, so like when speak German, like it's God.
Have you finished that thought?
No, it's 20 22.
You're trying to speak in German.
Yes, I was. But I know now it's 17, but you know, back when I looked at it first, it was 22.
God. All right. Well, onto housing. So we're going to look at Queensland first. So Brisbane home prices have increased 15.9% since last February. So 13 months. That is fucking insane. Like a nearly 16% increase. Regional home prices have increased by 13.4%. So again, your options for escaping to regional areas are also very limited because their prices are going up too. The prices of unit values as compared to houses is growing at a greater rate. So there, the median unit price in Brisbane has increased by more than 20%. So there you go, and you're running out of options in terms of the type of accommodation you can get as well. Think you'll get a better deal in a unit, in a flat? Not really, actually.
Would you like to get fucked?
Okay. Now, over in New South Wales, they had this disaster recovery program. This was basically to cover the damage that was done in Lismore when they had their recent flooding. Well, that's actually drying up. It's winding up this month. And they're said to have actually spent $880 million. This was the Resilient Homes program. But they're saying that there's still many people there who have not been adequately helped. So either their housing has not been restored or they've failed to find other housing. The government has actually declared many of these areas in Lismore you should not be allowed to actually build a property there because they are just so prone to flooding. And that's a good idea, you know, that developers should not be allowed to develop on areas like that. You know, just like you don't build houses on a fucking fault line or something, you know, for, you know, if you've got risk of earthquake all the time, you don't build houses over that fault line. I guess they do that in Japan, though, don't they? They still build like
literally.
They build nuclear reactors over fault lines in Japan.
Fuck. Yes. But I'm gonna say, like, can't a man live? The risk of danger. Just below your feet. Come on.
You like that sense of danger, do you? Like, simply living anywhere in Japan is like thrill-seeking.
Well, I did actually get told by my Japanese handler, like, death is in the air. Like, it only matters if it takes you at this moment or not.
Well, they've got like a shockingly high suicide rate as well, Japan. I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's because of fucking like depression reasons, but not that.
Okay, so to the ACT. Now,
Oh god.
their social housing is apparently failing. The ACT government, as a landlord, um, is not dealing with problems such as mold, holes, and broken appliances. Yeah, I imagine. I mean, I don't know. I've never lived in social housing before, but I know that it's not like where if you live in a rental that's managed by some real estate company, you can get your block toilet fixed pretty quickly. Like sometimes just on the day in a few hours. If the government is your landlord, however, well, that's a big.
Ooh. That's not
And
happening.
I just find this interesting because, well, we're talking about Canberra and the ACT here. This is actually
The
they are
capital.
even they are yeah, but they are even more progressive than Melbourne. We actually forget
Yes, they
that.
are.
Like, yeah, like no, Victoria is not the most posed part of Australia. The ACT is by far.
Because
Um,
it's entirely
like,
like fucking like voiced by like public service people.
well, they have a
We're very
homosexual chief minister as well. Um,
yes.
Labor has been in power for over 20 years, and sometimes they have been in coalition with the Greens. You're not allowed to build a new house with electrical appliances. Oh, sorry, no, with gas appliances.
Yes,
They have
yes.
to be electrical. Yes, that is the law in the ACT. What a great thing to do when you have a housing crisis.
Fucking
Okay,
Jesus.
so same thing in Tasmania. Their social housing does
Oh,
not
someone's
meet the
not gonna
state
like this.
government's targets. Um, so a recent review has found that the government was suffering from confused decision making on housing policy. Oh god, Tasmania though is not, I guess, what you call a
You
POS
fucking
area
serious?
of Australia. Well, look, they've got a lot of crime and they've got a lot of
Yeah.
welfare dependency, but they're not really
They're
like
old.
yeah. Remember, like Chopper Reed used to hide out there. Um,
I shoot a whole bunch of rabbits. Sometimes the rabbits run away.
okay. Yeah. So now we go to Victoria. So again, we're talking about social housing, but here's a particular type. It's for people with severe mental illness. So this
Oh
was
god.
a 2021 budget commitment that they made. Um, they allocated $40 million to it. But sorry, the $40 million commitment was a recommendation of the Royal Commission into Victoria's mental health system.
Finian,
But
I
they
don't think I
scrapped.
can go back to Melbourne again because I think someone's gonna try and bomb me.
But look, if you have a severe mental illness, you know, shouldn't you get completely free government housing in a nut house? I mean, that's
Yes,
actually
an
where people
asylum.
should be. Yeah, um, and there's so many like homeless people that you see where you're like, this person shouldn't be out in public. They should be in the nut house. Take them into the nut house. You need to sterilize them, and you just need to make sure they don't harm anyone. And you could
Yeah.
say that's inhumane or whatever, but I mean, what? Like, is it more humane just to let them like sleep on the streets and
Is it
like
more humane to
terrify,
let harm people?
like like scare the shit out of random people every day? Um,
I'm not even joking. Like, is it more humane to let them stab like some fucking Ukrainian girl? Is that okay?
well, yeah, no, but look, what does housing for people with severe mental illness? What does that actually look like? Like, How do you cater to their specific needs? I don't really get that.
It's like a straitjacket, but I know how to get out of the straitjacket.
So I guess you try and make sure that there's nothing in it where you could commit suicide. You take all the curtains away. You take knives away.
Oh, they're very fucked up on that one. No,
right.
No, outside of that, no, there's no answer for that. It's just putting them away.
Yeah, and I just add and sterilizing them too. That's what you should do. I'm a massive advocate of sterilization for many different types of people. All right, let's move on to industrial relations. I don't think that wouldn't be hate speech, would it? Me saying that?
Mate, things like euthanasia has now become like a government policy, or like something that we can actually do in the state. So
yeah, I'm not advocating killing people. I'm just saying take away their capacity to procreate. That's all. Yes, it is eugenics. I completely agree that it is that. But I just say, well, so what? What's wrong with that?
The worst part is, me and Finian will say the same thing. We'll say, okay, that's the most, terrible policy that we can put forward in this entire world. And then the state will catch up with us in about 4 years? 4 years, yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember we covered. I don't know if you were on the show at the time, but we covered how the Queensland government had really relaxed bail laws, especially for youth crime. Well, what ended up happening? They got fucking all the pseudos and abos stabbing people to death, and then the Labor Party, remember, was actually the one who brought the old laws back. Like the LNP went further. But it was actually Labor whose hand was forced over, Queenslanders getting fucking murdered by people. So, yeah, that was definitely one we saw coming. Okay, anyway, let's move on to...
Yes.
Right, let's move on to industrial relations. Industrial relations. We're going to talk about the Electrical Trade Union, the ETU, in New South Wales. They're really the only they're the only other ones that the CFMEU tend to get along with, because they're said to be, kind of a militant union as well.
Because they don't fucking write the electrical fucking trade shit in, fucking Hindi, etc.
And thank God for that. Anyway, their president, Glenn Potter. So Glenn Potter has been charged with firearms and proceeds of crime offences. So what happened was there was a fire. There was a fire at his house. I don't believe, anyone's... They're not suspecting foul play here. I think it was just some kind of accident. But anyway, emergency services came to his house and apparently found a whole bunch of rifles.
Well, that's terrible. Well, I'll call it Electric 6.
Well, so I think they're talking about the fire department and the ambulance were there, and then they actually went and reported the guns to police. And also, his house was raided after that. They reckon that he's received proceeds of crime as well. Which,
Union boss, congratulations.
Right. I was going to say, he's not doing very good for the stereotype of union bosses. So
you do need to absolutely beat their living shit out of some lieutenants back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ETU, you never get a Labor Party member who used to work for the ETU. So the reason I mentioned that is because, well, the ETU is a genuine union that looks after its members. They're not there. They're not there to be a launching pad for future Labor politicians. They're actually there, for the real purpose. Whereas a union like the Australian Workers Union, I mean, that's it. That's all they exist for. Just like a training ground. Like Bill Shorten, he came from there.
Yeah, but I was going to say I do actually respect every single Sparky that I fucking I come across, because I was like, you're a young Sparky, an untrained Sparky, or an old Sparky. And you're an old Sparky because, well, is Satan trying to fucking fight you again?
She just jumped off the computer.
Yep.
I kept my hand over the buttons so she wouldn't step on it.
Oh, she's a fucking nasty one. But yeah, no, there's a young Sparky and there's an old Sparky, and you don't fucking ask why.
Yeah.
And also there's Satan is terrible, and she should probably get I don't know, do I give her a can of tuna at this point, or? Okay.
I think she's gone off to eat some of her food.
There we go.
She's a grazer. She doesn't eat it in one go. She eats it in bits and pieces.
Well, she tried to eat my fucking hair 5 years ago. Tried to eat my hair.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a long time ago. You're still traumatized about that.
Yes, she bites.
Only people she doesn't like. All right. So, in Tasmania, the teachers' union there are ramping up their industrial action. They said that they are going to have a total and indefinite ban on NAPLAN testing.
No.
So they said if an agreement is not reached with the government soon, they're going to implement that ban. Whew. So the state government says that they need to prioritize student learning as they go further in negotiations with the union. Well, look, the union will do that. The teachers' union actually, all right, fine. They don't have the typical kind of CFMEU type boss in it,
Of course.
Some guy wearing suspenders with a massive gut who has firearms in his house. Okay, they're not like
Jesus.
But they are actually one of the unions, though, that is willing to do something for its members. They will go on strike. They will take various kinds of industrial action to be able to get what they want. So
I was going to say, I'll fly out there and can you lend me Satan?
What?
I'll fly out there and can you lend me Satan?
And I don't know what you're talking about.
The cat.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the teachers' union in Tasmania.
Yes.
And look, I was just about to say that no, that is not an idle threat. I think they definitely would go through with that. Teachers are often very strong unionists. They really are.
They are.
Okay.
What are you going to do? Go back to your stay-at-home wife? Oh, wait. That's been destroyed.
Yeah. Okay. Victoria. So, the Labor government's new work from home plan. The business lobby really, really does not like this. So,
I wonder why.
The state's Equal Opportunity Act is going to be amended so that it enshrines in law the right for employees to work at home. And that would be for at least 2 days a week. And those laws are set to come in September this year. So they interviewed this woman, Emily Lilac, from some construction company, and she's part of the business lobby as well. She said that
Yes.
that places yet another burden on business, which have already been hit by hard red tape. She
Ah,
said they just burden and burden and burden. She actually said that. And then she gave an example of a 187% increase in Moore's Civil's land tax bill in just 4 years across the 7 properties it uses for businesses. Yeah,
I
she's
guess
talking
she's
about.
a lilac. She's a reverse pinko.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some unfair business taxes in
Yes.
the past.
I'm not. Again, like I nearly thought like a person who was used to be a member of the Australian Communist Party on this podcast. But yeah, no, like this is fucked. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, look, I do kind of say, look, tax them less so that they have more money for their workers. But of course, businesses don't want it that way either. They just want to be able to pay shit wages and not be taxed.
I don't want to be a slave. I want to be a member of the fucking like of the business.
Well, how
Now
about
this is rape.
Well, what about, okay, we won't impose those burdensome taxes on you if you hire local workers and you do not use any international labor at all.
There
Then
we
you'll get
go.
the lower tax rate. How about that?
Easy enough.
Okay,
But
now
we won't
there
do
is
that.
uh, data is showing us now that Australia has a record amount of Australians who are still working over the age of 65. So 65
Jesus
used to be
Christ.
the retirement age. In other words, the age where you're eligible for the pension. That has been increased to 67. That came
You
into
fucking
effect in 2023, but it was that decision though was made actually back in 2009 under Kevin Rudd. Believe it or not.
holy.
So obviously that has an impact because you have fewer people entitled to the pension. But the Australian reckons even when you take that into account, there's still like, a higher percentage of people working over 65 and choosing, not to live on their super or whatever. And the reason why is simply that, well, the pension or the super is not going to be enough for them.
No, it
So they
won't.
need to work.
I had God, actually, I did have to say like I had one of my coworkers who knew one of my who knew my father, and I was thinking to myself like, how the fuck did you know my father who's an octogenarian? How?
But no, I think it's definitely true. But look, another reason is that we don't have so many manual labor jobs anymore either. So, obviously, if you work one of those jobs, it's pretty hard to work into your advanced years. Your body just can't handle it anymore.
Of course
So,
not.
yeah, so we've got more people working in the office now, and, your brain doesn't start to give way until much later. You still got your wits when you're in your 60s. Certainly,
Are
that's
you
what I've
sure?
noticed from people. From my own experience, like whenever I interact with people like over 60, I don't see any kind of mental decline at all. I only see that if they're like, I don't know, at least past 70. You don't agree?
Oh no. I was asking, did you see the memes? No, but no, I need to start getting into street fights. But anyway.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's go to climate and energy now. So, here's a lament from the ABC. They said an estimated 70% of Australian homes were built before the introduction of minimum energy efficiency standards. And that standard is seven stars out of 10. So the average rating of these homes that were built beforehand is less than 3 out of 10. So,
well, that's terrible.
So now lobby groups are saying that it should be compulsory for every house to disclose their Energy Star rating at the point of sale or lease of an existing home. And that was actually trialled in New South Wales recently. So
actually, that's not the worst idea. It's about insulation, but also like you could find that by the building plan and the R rating of the walls.
It's about insulation, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, to me, this just looks like some kind of naming and shaming program that they're doing.
It's bullshit.
If you publicly shame people about their low energy efficiency, then you might encourage them to make it better.
What's more energy efficient? Like a gigantic fucking like a single brick house or a cooler box? What's the A and B on that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going by like I imagine that they're saying, all right, how many electrical appliances do you have as opposed to gas appliances, and do you have solar panels? Like, isn't that basically it?
I'm not even joking. Gas is more electrically like better, more efficient than I'll put it this way: like a gas stove is more better than like an electric stove.
Of course,
fucking like
everyone
literally torching a fucking turkey is better than putting it in a microwave.
Fuck microwaves. I never use it. Do you know, I grew up, my family never had a microwave. Fun fact. And that's why, I do have a microwave now in where we stay, but I never use it. It's just, I was not raised that way. Okay. All right. Here's a triggering one. So the government in Victoria has passed new laws that would that make it legal for them to compulsorily acquire land for the energy programs in the bush. So these are transmission companies who would be able to acquire private land, and that is for their renewable energy projects.
They win the battle, but they won't win the war.
Well, they've been trying to win this battle. Regional Victorians have been making their way into Melbourne to protest outside Parliament House, not just for this, for all other ways that the government fucks over people in regional areas. But this is also one where this could actually turn nasty, because there were stories about people who were blocking development, like the community banding together, and they would basically form a human shield on the property that was supposed to be compulsorily acquired. And
there were people hurt, yes.
Yeah. So now that we're going to see this on a much larger scale, I think there's going to be some there's going to be some breakouts of violence, I reckon. because a lot of these people are just not going to accept it. And, they're going to be like the hippies who chain themselves to trees, that kind of thing. Instead, they're going to chain themselves to like their neighbor's property so that the transmission lines aren't constructed over it.
Telephone me because I'll fucking be there.
And, people in the bush stick together and look out for each other much more than people in the city. Okay. All right, let's jump into immigration.
Yes.
So, just two stories here. You might know of the mining giant Glencore. Well, they're employing almost 30 international workers, and I know that's not much, but they've done that in many other cases here. So this is at the Mount Isa mines. They're saying that they have been advertising for the local workforce. And Robbie Katter, who is Bob Katter's son, and he's also this region state member in Queensland, he's saying that that's just not true. Now, these companies often, like what they'll do is they'll put up an ad in some website that no one reads, that no one checks. And when they don't get people replying and applying for those jobs, they say, okay, look, we looked and no one wants it. So we have to go and, start handing the work visas out. I just don't believe them. They're just looking for cheap labor. And Robbie Katter knows that.
That's fucking Robert. Well, I can call you by your name, Robert, can I?
Yeah, look, he says bullshit. Unfortunately, he's a bit of a Ziocuck, Robbie Katter, even though he's got Lebanese blood in him. He is a big Zionist, massive Israel supporter. Always goes on about Hamas being a deadly terrorist organization, all that. He's pretty good on the gay question. Like he opposes gay marriage and gay adoption, those kind of things. But
you've never met him.
But what, have you met him?
Yes.
You have? Oh, okay. But look, I mean, I like a lot of what Bob Katter stands for. Bob Katter often talks about how free market economics has ruined people in the bush, has been a disaster for dairy and sugar producers in Queensland. And they're actually pretty pro-worker as well. And this is the kind of stuff they really hate, importing foreign workers to take local jobs.
Again, we do talk about I want my fucking agrarian slaves. I want that, but thing is no, they are that. I wish they weren't, but they are agri-industry men.
Who, the Katters?
Yes.
Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, now the other story we've got on immigration is we were talking about how some conservative groups are taking on what you might call white nationalist rhetoric by talking about an Anglo-Celtic Australia and stuff like that. Well,
there we go.
We've got Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister, and Josh Frydenberg, former Treasurer, who are sort of getting in on this. Now, well, I already mentioned Tony Abbott. Tony Abbott has used that term. But in this interview that Josh Frydenberg did, he actually talked about the right to discriminate. So he said, I do believe we need to...
I want the right to discriminate against you, fucking Josh.
Yeah. He said, I do believe we need to move to an immigration policy which does discriminate. How about that? So he's trying to sort of reinvent himself as this hardline Jew against migration. And I definitely think that Frydenberg is planning a comeback to Parliament as well.
I swear to God, if he comes back like that's... He'd be at number 1, wouldn't he? Like,
Well, look, I mean, the tide can always turn against the Teals. Tim Wilson did show that it's possible to take a seat back off of them.
yes.
But, you know, the Libs will probably think that they need to start adopting more policies that look like those of the Teals, which, of course, is pro-migration and pro-green energy. I don't know if Josh Frydenberg could, you know, do that. So maybe he would have to go for one of the more suburban seats that the Liberals hold. I don't know. But he comes out and he says these kind of things like at opportune times, you know. So obviously he got out there at the time of the Bondi shooting, and he said that he was deeply offended that people were saying that he was trying to build momentum for a future political campaign.
Satan's back, isn't it?
No, I accidentally tapped the mic there.
Oh,
it's my fault. And, you know, here he is now, where we have the immigration debate and, you know, talking about the impact on housing prices and everything. And he comes out and uses this language like, yeah, we need to actually discriminate. Now, who does he, as a Jew, want to discriminate against? It's obvious. It's the people that Tony Abbott has previously named. Tony Abbott said, look, the anti-Semitism that we experience in Australia is simply because we take in Middle East migrants. Well, he's partly right about that.
yes.
You know, the other reason, of course, is simply Jewish behavior. People see what Israel has been doing to the Gazans and now to the Iranians, and they don't like it. And that doesn't just go for people from the Middle East; it goes for everyone. So yeah,
I was gonna say, like Finian, like I dare do something like close your eyes. Like there's Finian Destroyer 1488. There's now coming to get you.
Well, look, if this is what we want to call white nationalism or whatever, you know, this is the kind of shit that you really need to be careful of. They're trying to lure you back in with red meat. And, you know, they just want people to think, oh, well, look, maybe I don't like the Liberals and I don't like the fact that Frydenberg is a Jew or whatever. But, you know, look at their immigration policy. It's like so much more hard line than what Labor's is.
That's damn near good.
Don't fall for that.
Don't fall for it.
Whatever you do. It's a load of shit.
No. Again, like when Mr. fucking Libertarian and fucking, you know, Mr. fucking Socialist says the same thing, trust it.
Yeah. As people who've gone through different political iterations, you know, I love it though when you get called ignorant. You know, people say, "Oh, you're just ignorant. You don't know about anything. Like you don't read the news. You don't read political books or whatever." It's like, really?
Could you have me by my toes?
The reason why I am now in the position that I am, you know, as an Australian white nationalist, is precisely because I had an open mind and actually was willing to read material that was against my current worldview. It's always the other way around. Anti-racists and, you know, people who call themselves international socialists or whatever have just been spoon-fed this shit in school, in university, every other institution. And, you know, that there is called what you call brainwashing. Anyway, Aborigines.
There we go.
So this is in the construction workers reckon they have uncovered human bones, so said to be those of ancestral Aborigines, and this is working on the Victoria Park Sports Oval upgrade. Now, they're saying the local Aboriginal corporation or whatever tribe in this area.
No.
Sorry, I cut out there.
Oh, there we go.
When did I cut out?
I have no clue. I thought it was meat.
Oh, no. Look, okay, I'll just go over that quickly. So, yeah, they found these Aboriginal human bones there, human, quote unquote. It was a $13.3 million project, the Victoria Park Sports Oval. So the Yorta Yorta tribe, their local leader said that they were not consulted on that project. But if they had been consulted, they could have prevented this disturbance. Right? So they're saying that, like, spirits of their ancestors have been disturbed because of the
How
fact
much money?
They found some bones. And yeah, I bet, that if they had just consulted the Yorta Yorta people, that they definitely would have known where those bones were.
This like
what a fucking joke.
So, $5-6 million? Oh, actually, no, $25 million. There we go. $26 million. There we go.
For what?
Oh, just settle it. I mean, like that grave will be settled.
Oh, you mean
for about $13 million?
Well, yeah, it'll be a certain amount of money that will make the spirits happy, I guess. That's what it always is. But
that's sure it's not $15 million?
What could these people have done? What could this elder have done to prevent this disturbance? I mean, is he actually suggesting that he knew where the bones were? That seems to be what he's saying. He's like, if you asked me, I would have been able to tell you because of my, like, telepathic connection to my ancestors. What a load of shite. Okay, let's move on to crime.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We covered how in the Northern Territory they have increased the mandatory minimum prison sentence from 20 to 25 years if you kill someone in a domestic violence situation. Now, funnily enough, oh God, this has a name, the Domestic Violence Prevention Sector. They are actually really, really opposed to this. You'd think that they wouldn't, that you'd think that this would be a kind of law
because
that
they have to enforce
support.
They have to enforce it.
Well, I mean, the other thing is they're run by Aborigines and people who kowtow to Aborigines. And so, in this case, what that means is they're going to lock up more Aborigines for longer. And that's already been happening, since the CLP took power in the Northern Territory. It is definitely true that the prisons are under pressure. But you know what? That's more of a federal government responsibility. They're supposed to provide that funding to the territory to be able to do that. So yeah, these various like support groups, advocate groups, or whatever, they're all they're all either like Aboriginal or pro-Aboriginal. But I mean, it probably, they do have a point in that it probably is not that much of a deterrent, when you're blind drunk and your wife pisses you off or something and you're an Aborigine, you don't really consider your future prospects. You just live in that moment where you just want to bash the bitch. So yeah, they might get an extra 5 years in jail, But will it be a deterrent?
I'm sorry, I'm not Irish.
Yeah. But look, if it keeps them locked up for longer, then fine. Lock them up and sterilize them. Do that. I guarantee you crime will drop if you do that.
It will.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. So in Queensland, they're using AI to see if people are breaking road rules. So, things like talking on the phone, not having a seatbelt on, those kind of things. So a Queensland magistrate has dismissed a seatbelt fine that was handed to a driver because the passenger in their car slipped their belt under their arm. So, they didn't put the seatbelt over their shoulder like you're supposed to. They put it under their arm, which is kind of stupid. That would kind of slice you in half if you had a serious crash, I think. But anyway, apparently you're not allowed to wear your seatbelt that way.
No, you're not.
But they're also, what this was mainly about was the reliability of the cameras and the AI that it's using. And there has been a lot of people who have said that, they got a fine for like no reason.
Don't rely on an AI.
No, don't.
In fact, even my fucking sister is now texting me about not relying on AI. But yeah, no. They hallucinate. They
definitely
see things that they shouldn't.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often they get things wrong. It's still very much a developing technology, and I tried to get it to write out some music, and I gave it very, very specific instructions talking about ChatGPT, and it understood what I wanted, because it actually said back, "Oh, I mean, you want this written out?" I said yes, and then it gave me something that was completely different to what I told it to do. So there's still a lot of faults in it.
A lot of work. Yes.
Yeah, good time.
But also, it's based off linear algebra, and for someone who's actually taught linear algebra, no, absolutely not. Linear algebra searches for A on a fucking imagine a big fucking a grid plane. It searches for A. When it gets close to A, it starts to ping. The thing is, it can also go to A negative on the same thing. But your AI machine is literally 15,000 of those linear algebra mechanisms working.
Okay. I have a vague understanding of what you're talking about there.
Yep.
What I find sad is a lot of people using ChatGPT as their friend.
Oh God, yeah.
They have conversations with it and stuff.
I knew a girl who was actually doing that, and that was terrifying. Well, terrible.
It's the holy shit. No, go out there and meet some people, for Christ's sake. Don't talk to what is just a software program. Okay, now back in Queensland, the previous Labor government essentially had a 3 strikes program for drug offending. So if you were just simply found in possession of some prohibited substance, you would get 3 warnings, and they would send you to drug diversion programs. And then after that, you would actually get charged. So the LNP is scrapping that. So I say that first-time offenders have a single chance to be referred to a drug diversion program, and then after that, you would get fines or criminal charges. So this is basically a one-strike policy. One time you'll get a warning. You will get one warning, and that's it. And then they'll start fining you. I think that's fair enough. We are too lenient on this stuff. When we see like people dying of ecstasy overdoses or something like that, it's not because of fucking lack of pill testing, for Christ's sake. It's because more drugs can circulate and people can get their hands on them easier. And people are less afraid about getting caught because, well, you know, all they're going to do is give you a warning. And look, as I've said before, like pill testing, what does that do? It just tells you like the quality of the pill you bought.
Your drugs.
You know, like it's just people finding out whether or not they've been ripped off by their drug dealer. Is he giving me good shit or is he giving me bad shit? That's what pill testing actually does. All right. Okay, now, still in Queensland, they're putting a bunch of extra offences for juveniles that would essentially attract adult sentencing. So, we have rioting, stalking, and strangulation. Those ones are on the list. Yep. Abuse of a person with an impairment of mind, aiding suicide, using a vehicle with intent to cause harm, stupefying.
What the fuck is going on inside? What is going on in Queensland?
Hold on. Stupefying a person, which includes the use of date rape drugs, disabling a person to harm them, and a bunch of others. Choking in a domestic violence situation, stalking or harassment, assault occasioning bodily harm, and administering poison with intent to harm. Wow. So, yeah, there's a whole range of...
What the fuck is going on? My boys in Queensland, what the fuck is going on?
What's going on is they have a lot of third world migration. That's what's going on.
Yes.
And, you know, while I have nothing against a tough law and order regime like this, dare I say we wouldn't need one in the first place if we didn't take these people in. We only have to rely on draconian law and order policies when we have people who commit crimes that white people simply don't commit. White people don't engage in gang rape. They don't stab people in the neck at the train station. They don't stab grandmothers in the heart. It's these third worlders who do. All right. Okay, so in Tasmania, the Attorney General is going to introduce legislation to stop the use of good character references by serious offenders. So, you know, even if you're up for a serious charge and you're found guilty, you can have your sentence reduced if you can show the court that, you know, you're a good person. So
I can say that like I'm attached to the community. Please, like I'm attached to the community. Like also like I'm going to, you know, I'm going to be a recidivist rapist. Well.
Yeah, look, I think this is mainly to do with activist judges. They use the character references to hand down a sentence that is less than what, you know, they're conventionally supposed to do. This is why politicians make, you know, mandatory sentencing rules. When you've got like shitty judges and magistrates who make bad decisions and, you know, simply give criminals a slap on the wrist. But I don't know. I'm worried that that let's say our guys would be affected by this because they have been put up on some bullshit hate speech charge, and they very often can show that they do things like volunteer and give to charity, but then all of a sudden that doesn't matter in the court's eyes. You created you engaged in a thought crime. Therefore, we don't give a shit about any other things that you may have done in life and how good they were. We just want to throw you in jail.
Did it matter at all?
Oh, here's a beauty. I saw this story just before we started the show, and I was like, oh, I have to put this one in. So there have been in this cemetery in South Australia the theft of more than 80 metal plaques from tombstones. So these are people who go to a cemetery and they steal the metal plates and sell them. Because
What?
for certain types of metal you know you can get a good price. That's why people steal copper all the time. You can get a decent amount of money from it. So these people are actually desecrating graves just so they can steal the plaque and sell it for a few bucks. I mean, how low can you go?
Well, apparently, like 6 feet deeper, deeper,
Yeah.
deeper, deeper, deeper. Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Well, look, let's go to the South Australian election. So this is coming up on the 21st of March, and we'll probably do a shortish race of decides on that. So the Libs are matching Labor's policy to have public schooling completely free. Yeah, I mean, even though it's public schooling, like most parents are expected to pay school fees. In South Australia, they wanted to just abolish all of that. Um, I don't know. I guess it's sort
Apparently,
of fair.
that's some shooter option for this. I don't know if that's going to
It's
be
not like
like
school
enough.
fees are very much, though. They're, they're not very high, as far as I know.
No, not really.
Okay, now here's a blast from the recent past. Do you remember David Speirs, who used to lead the Liberal Party in South Australia?
There we go.
Yeah, we remember this guy. This was the guy who there's like a photo of him using cocaine, and he said that was a deep fake photo, and he admitted later on, okay, no, it's actually real. Yes, that was me and a line of cocaine. Um, so he was actually found guilty of intending to supply a prohibited
Ooh.
substance,
Oh
which
shit.
which is serious enough. So look, he had to resign from the Liberal Party. Obviously, he resigned the leadership, but he is running again. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently in the polls, in his electorate, in the seat of Black, it's called, he actually polls pretty well. Despite all of this, despite major scandal, he remains a popular politician, and he's going to be running as an independent against the Libs and Labor, and they reckon this
The
could be a
Smack
real
Man.
spanner in the works. He might actually win this, like a politician with convictions for drug offences might actually win his seat back.
Oh god.
And that's certainly one I'll be watching out for.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Smack
now
Man.
so the South Australian Health Minister.
And there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, sorry. Cut out again there.
There we go.
What was the last thing I said?
Well, I said smack man.
So that's still talking about David Speirs then. All right, so
yes.
The South Australian Health Minister, Chris Picton, so he has apologised and taken full responsibility for the release of an email he said was presumed to be from an adult cancer patient who later died, but was actually from a different person who had the same name. Now, what this was basically about was there was a cancer patient who died in an Adelaide hospital, and the family was complaining that he had not received good treatment, and possibly might have survived had he received proper treatment in that hospital. So, in response to that,
was that like some kind of like cancer treatments, or
I don't know. I don't know the details of it, but the South Australian government responded to that by taking an email that supposedly was from that patient, where he praised the government and the hospital system for how good it was. So they released the email to say, okay, look, the person himself, the patient himself, actually said that the hospital service was really good. Well, guess what? That email was actually from someone else who had the same name.
Yeah,
it wasn't that person at all. That person never wrote anything praising the hospital system. What a fuck up that is.
If I looked into it, I don't think that person was actually like alive for that email.
No, I mean, but look, even if that wasn't the case, why are they publicly releasing private emails of fucking dead cancer patients? Look, just don't do that in the first place.
That's a good question.
Yes, that just amazes me that the government would actually make a decision like that. Okay, now the Liberal Party in South Australia will be preferencing One Nation over Labor. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to put them number 2 on the how to vote card, but they will be put above Labor. And remember, it's basically been party policy for the Coalition, the Greens, and Labor, for as long as we can remember, to put One Nation last on the how to vote card. Now, Labor and the Greens obviously are still going to be doing that, but the Liberal Party have a change of heart here. And there were already a lot of federal libs saying, like, yeah, look, if they want to increase their chances of, maybe not government in South Australia, because that seems kind of completely out of reach, but if they want to survive and not be completely decimated by Labor in the election, maybe they need to do some kind of preference deal with One Nation. And, Cory Bernardi and Alex Antic have been photographed together. Remember, Cory Bernardi is an ex-Liberal, now with One Nation. Alex Antic is still with the Liberals, but a lot of people are speculating that he'll eventually jump to One Nation. But yeah, he's still friends with Cory, obviously. Yes, and speaking of Cory, he's standing by comments that he made in the Senate back in 2012. So this is back before same-sex marriage. Yes. And he was one of the most vocal opponents in the coalition against it. And, here's what he said this is what would happen if gay marriage were passed. He said, the next step, quite frankly, is having 3 people or 4 people that love each other being able to enter into a permanent union endorsed by a society or any other type of relationship. There are even some creepy people out there who say it is okay to have consensual sexual relations between humans and animals. This is what I mean, this has been brought up many times before. This is definitely not the first time I've seen that quote. But it's being raised again because Cory Bernardi is leading the charge for One Nation in South Australia. So, they're trying to dig up dirt and damage him. But look, to his credit, he said that he stands by those comments 100%. And yes, there are people out there who were advocates for gay marriage who also said that it's perfectly fine for people and animals to engage in consensual sex. If you don't believe me, do this. Type in Peter Singer Q&A in YouTube. Go and watch that. That is the Jewish Australian philosopher, Peter Singer.
Don't do that. No,
what? No, I'm just saying if you want to see proof of what I'm... Yes. Yeah, don't go looking for fucking animal porn or something if that's what you were thinking I was saying. Yes. No, I'm talking about a clip from Q&A where Peter Singer advocates consensual sex between people and animals. I'm not joking. Go and watch that. It's there.
It exists. It does. Okay. That's the worst part.
So the New South Wales Libs, they're currently looking for a new Liberal Party president for the state branch in New South Wales. There was one female candidate who has since dropped out, and it's now looking like they're going to appoint a 78-year-old man to the presidency. So this is the former opposition leader, Peter Collins. Now, among the other goings-on here, there was proposals for gender quotas. That's been knocked back. So, like the ABC and that are just reporting this as another sign of the Liberal Party having problems with women. They're rejecting the gender quotas. There's no female candidates running, and they've just got this serious problem with women, apparently. Okay, now we're going to go to the federal Libs and federal ALP. Just before we do that, let's have a quick look at the latest news poll. So Labor's primary vote is down to 32%. That's down from 35% in October last year. So that's a fair drop, actually. The coalition's primary vote has gone up slightly to 20%. That's up from 18%. So they're saying that, I should also say One Nation is on 27%. So that is only 5 points behind Labor. And it's quite a bit more than the coalition. So people are saying that the Libs are sort of clawing their way back because Angus Taylor is now in the leadership chair rather than Susan Lee. And, most of us are pretty confident that he won't make the same kinds of brain fart mistakes that Susan Lee did. But also, Albanese has an approval rating of 45%, while Angus Taylor has an approval rating of 37%. I can't remember what it was for Susan Lee, but it definitely wasn't 37%. It was much lower than that. Okay.
I don't
now, there was a review that recently wrapped up into the Liberals' election defeat last year. The Liberal Party actually tried to cover it up. But then guess what happened? It leaked. We don't know who did it, but the report leaked. Anthony Albanese actually then went and had the leaked copy tabled in Parliament. So that means, it's documented now. So the former Senator Nick Minchin.
Minchin.
Nick Minchin, not Tim Minchin.
Oh, there we go.
He said that this was a massive mistake that made the Liberal Party look secretive, and also that, it's not willing to make the proper changes, because otherwise, wouldn't you? Surely you would release the review that says, the libs failed on this and this account, so therefore, we're going to respond to that review and change things. Now, I'm actually not really sure what was contained in the review. I'd say a lot of it would be false. They're probably going to talk about how, women and minority groups apparently walked away from the libs in the last election. But there's not really anything you can do about that. Unless you give a whole heap of grants to the Hindu community or something to build more temples, something like that. That's something that Labor got in on very early, particularly in Victoria. Daniel Andrews was very popular with the Indian voters in Melbourne. Okay. So, Anthony Albanese actually just celebrated his 30th year in federal parliament. Now, there were some people who hadn't even heard of him before he became opposition leader. But yes, he is a veteran of Canberra. He's been there for 30 years. And he was there from the point I started following politics, actually. And never once did I look at him and his various ministries and think that is the future leader of the Labor Party. Never once did I think that. Albo, I guess, is sort of proud of that, though, in a way, because, he
is a chud hunter.
Well, he pulled off what a lot of people said was impossible. A lot of people just said, no, he doesn't have it in him. He could never win an election. But he did. And like I've said before, he'll go down in history as a Labor legend because, well, he's going to serve at least 6 years in Parliament as Prime Minister.
I literally can't say the slur that I would.
But that's more than Paul Keating. That's more than Kevin Rudd. That's more than Julia Gillard. The only Labor leader who would beat him would be Bob Hawke. In English,
yes, more than.
But what happens if Albo wins the next election and serves that term? Well, he would have been in Parliament even longer than Bob Hawke.
So, you will, actually. Not fast.
So, yeah, this guy who was just sort of like a face that you ignored in Parliament for most of his political career. I remember once I saw him do a press conference where whenever he finished his statement, he said, I'm happy to take questions. And not one person asked him a question. No one was interested.
He's the
to be fair, I saw that happen to Angus Taylor as well, though. So, sometimes that does happen. All right, the Farah by-election. So this is Susan Lee's seat. Of course, she's retiring completely from politics. So One Nation have chosen their candidate. His name is David Farley, and he is an agricultural businessman. So that's good. He's not a person who owns an adult sex shop. That was another businessman they previously ran. So I guess now they are vetting their candidates a little bit more carefully than what they used to. And the Nationals have chosen military commander Brad Robertson.
There we go. One battle after another.
That just sounds like a masculine name, doesn't it? Like
Brad Robertson. Does.
Maybe because it rhymes with Chad. I don't know. But no, look, I don't think One Nation are going to win this. Their preferences, I think, will eventually just flow to the Liberals and help them beat Labor. I think that's all that'll happen here. It is a regional seat, remember that. So this isn't really one that Labor have a chance with. So I think the Liberals will probably
Robertson, though. Brad Robertson. That is... that's a fucking name.
It is. Okay, now we do have the result of the Nightcliff by-election. This was a territory election in the Northern Territory to replace the retiring Greens member, who it was actually the first time the Greens had ever gotten a lower house seat in the Northern Territory. And, well, guess what? They've now lost it to Labor. So they didn't even last one term. And, yeah, Labor have won it back.
All right.
Okay, now...
Get it.
Huh?
You know that we're not doing this like person, etc. Like could you give me like a? Could you?
Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Could you give me
What?
30 minutes?
What?
Could I have the hour?
Okay, let's talk a bit about the conservative movement in Australia. I think we're all familiar with the lobby group called Advance. They used to be called Advance Australia. Anyway,
and the packets.
They're very much, they want to go back to basics conservatism. They want to fight the cultural war. They still love their free markets and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
they want to go back to 2011, don't they?
Well, they want to go. No, they want to go back further than that. They want to go back to the John Howard days. Basically, that's what they want. But look, James Packer has donated $150,000 to that group, and apparently, he has not made any kind of political donation in a very, very long time. So, Advanced Australia actually have critiqued a lot of liberals as well, a lot of moderates. The type of moderates who, are happy to vote for hate speech laws and stuff like that. So I sort of stand with Advance on that kind of thing. But remember, they're massive Zionists. They basically copy like mainstream American conservatism. So members of the Liberal Party who made comment to the ABC, but they're anonymous, they said that Advance is trying to further assert its influence. So there's even a report pushed by Tony Abbott that they want to get Advance's executive director, Matthew Sheehan, to be installed as the head of the New South Wales Liberal branch. Now, we just covered that earlier. It doesn't look like that's going to be the person. It's that 78-year-old who's going to get it instead. But yeah, that does look like Advance are trying to actually infiltrate the Liberal Party in a way and get their own people running.
God, I don't...
Okay.
If you ever see Advance running, like, just know that, doubt them. Know that they're the worst.
Yeah, no, they're not. And look, the other group we were going to talk about is CPAC. Yes, we have imported CPAC. This used to just be a completely American thing. And, well, their latest conference was actually held in Perth. So one of the speakers was Basil Zemplitz, who is the opposition leader here, the Liberal Party. He said that the Liberal Party must win back the lost Australians if it wants to re-emerge as a political force. So they also had, guess who, Andrew Hastie there. He was also one of the big names.
Oh, wow.
And he said that the party had strayed too far to the centre left. Okay.
I understand like where Mike Pinovich calls people rightoids at this point. I do actually.
All right, so apparently a lot of the guns we give to Papua New Guinea are being taken by warlords, tribal warlords, many of whom are involved in tribal warfare which means killing people, and yes, even eating them. They still practice cannibalism in Papua New Guinea.
Why not?
And so, look, this is just yet another way our foreign aid is spent.
I bet they are tasty.
These were, so they said there were 3,500 purpose-made rifles that were given from Australia to the PNG military, and they have somehow ended up in the hands of tribal warlords. My God. Why do we give them anything?
Maybe it's a game. You have to say like a little ha-ha.
Let's just do one more story here. I'm reading some of those others. They're kind of boring. So the last story we'll do for you today, guys, is a Finnish woman who was meant to come to Australia and give a presentation on the effect of gender reassignment surgery on children. So she's a professor of adolescent psychiatry. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. It's a very long Finnish name with a lot of consonants in it. Anyway, her seminar was titled Medical Gender Reassignment Among Minors. Why are we cautious in Finland? So she was supposed to give this at some college. Where was it? The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners. So then, of course, the LGBT groups started heavily lobbying them, and they called it off. So this person cannot speak. Cannot speak about the fact that we mutilate children, destroy their sexual development with use of puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy. And yes, remove their genitals so that they somehow take on the physical characteristics of the opposite sex. Now, most children, remember, most children who say that they're trans, they say this because the idea has been planted in their head through gay propaganda in schools. It's not a surprise that we have this new phenomenon called rapid onset gender dysphoria. In other words, people who just suddenly thought they were trans. And the studies always show, though, that these kids who say that, it's just a phase. It's just something it's just an idea that they got. And the vast majority of them later on say, well, actually, no, I'm not trans. I just thought I might have been because of what I heard in class.
That's why they fucking kill themselves, and that's the worst part.
Yeah, some of them do. And it's the people who administer this kind of medicine, if you can call it that, they need to kill themselves. They're the ones who should kill themselves. And
I can't say like that there should be some kind of torture for them and etc. No, when time comes, when the courts actually hears your crimes, they'll be heard.
Yeah, you should be put in jail for a long time, preferably your entire life,
or not. Anyway, so good night.
That is the last time. The last time I will drop out, I promise. But yes, death penalty for those who mutilate children. That should not be a controversial statement.
No.
Okay, guys. Apologize for my audio trouble during this episode. There's something with my interface. One of the cables is a bit loose. I've got to fix it. Yeah, sorry for not having a show for you in the past couple of weeks. We'll definitely try and get back into the routine. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Remember, you can get all our stuff over at theracer.biz. And you can catch us on Telegram, on Twitter, on Odyssey, on Rumble, all the usual places. Okay, we will see you next week.